gonna start. Here it is. I'm gonna start recording this. I'm gonna start running through a few things, and then if any point you have any questions, just unmute, stop me. It won't hurt my feelings. I'd be happy to clarify anything. So um, the first thing that I want to talk about is TeamSnap. It's something that is new to me over the past few months, but has been a really helpful tool. If you have not received anything on TeamSnap ever, or do not have the app on your phone, will you find a way to let me know, whether it's just dropping your number or your name in the chat box or sending me a text or an email? It is really, really convenient to have TeamSnap on your phone. It's the easiest way that I can send you anything quickly, whether a practice is canceled or something changes. And so TeamSnap is the thing that we are using. Once you go into TeamSnap on your phone, one of the best parts about it is that there is a schedule tab that shows you just a running list of everything that is coming up. And so on that, if you look at it right now, you'll see our practice from this afternoon at the top. You'll see that this parent meeting is on there. If you click on anything at all, it'll open up some more information and share with you some details, some information about timing. It'll tell you about the location. And then one of the best things about it is that it can show you assignments or tasks that need filled. And so that is going to be important as we begin having swim meets, because at almost every meet, we're required as a team to provide timers, parent volunteers. And so what I have done, for example, for this Saturday, since we are required to provide 2 parent timers for the meet, you can go to the Splashdown Invitational event in TeamSnap. You can tap on the event, and then you can scroll to My Assignments, tap that, and it'll open up 2 boxes. There's two slots that say timer. Once you tap on one of those, you can select your swimmer, your athlete, and then sign up for that task. And then I can follow up with you there to just confirm on the details. And so I'll mention some more about that sign up list there. But that's a really helpful thing I want everyone to know about, because as we also do more things in the future, I think that's just the easiest way that I can let you know what needs we have if you're willing to help. And so that's all within the schedule tab. The next thing I want to tell you about is the roster tab. And so if you're in TeamSnap on the app, what you can do is hit the roster tab at the bottom, and then in the top left corner, there's a profile image of your swimmer. And so everyone's profile is connected to your athlete or 2. And so once you log in, your parent login stems from your athlete. And so once you click on that top left corner, you'll either see your own profile or your athlete's profile. If you scroll down, you'll see the rest of your family. And so whether you want to put in yourself or your spouse or a sibling or anybody that you want to get the communication from me through TeamSnap, they need to be in your family. And so what you do is hit the roster tab, the profile image in the top left corner, and then you can add family members or add contact information. And so if anyone in your family has not been getting TeamSnap things, especially if your athlete hasn't been, they need added to your family. And then that should be an easy fix to that problem. Any questions there? I got one more thing to talk about with TeamSnap, but just stop me if you need anything. The other tab that's really helpful is the messages tab. And so the 2 things that I primarily use is the chat function and the posts function. So if you go into the chat, you'll see at the top, there's a group called Team Chat. That's where I'm just sending short, easy things, last minute stuff, anything that I just want parents and athletes to know at the same time. But then the posts tab. So if you hit the messages tab at the bottom and then the posts section, that is something that you have seen me send in greater concentrations depending on the week, depending on the time of the season. That is the larger amounts of information that will hit you by email and then also show up there in that posts section. right? And so if you're ever looking for an email or you can't find it, check out TeamSnap, go to the post section, and there's a good chance that you'll find it there. I am trying to not send you anything outside of TeamSnap, meaning if you've ever gotten an email from me, you can find it in TeamSnap. All right, so if you have any big questions, last minute questions for me, using the chat feature, the team chat feature is the best way to get to me. I have asked all of the swimmers to let me know if they are ever going to be late or have to leave early or will be absent from practice. Team chat is a really, really easy way for them to do that. I've asked all of them to have it on their phone. I expect them all to have it on their phone just because it's super easy. Keeps me in a position to where if something weird were ever to happen and anyone needs to look back at any message history, it is all there. It's a really helpful tool. And so that is Team Chat. The last thing I'll say about communication and everything is a GroupMe that that's the one thing that I'm using outside of Team Chat. That is just for swimmers. That is mostly just a way for them to communicate with each other. Mostly it's just, hey, are you all doing this today? Or, oh, does anyone want to do this after practice? Or, hey, we're going to Chick-fil-A after Saturday morning practice to get breakfast. It's things like that. It's also just where I'm sending things that don't need to blow up your phone and gives them an outlet to just talk amongst themselves. Coach Catherine and I are in it. Frankly, it's not even been all that much. There's not too much chatter going on there. So anyway, we want all of our athletes in the GroupMe as well. So that's a lot about Team Snap. The next thing I want to talk about is COVID and give you all an update on the fluid situation that is today. So before I do that, does anyone have any questions about Team Snap communicating, or has anyone had any problems with that? Cool. All right. Don't quote me on this. It is changing very regularly. So there's a policy that from GMC that I'll share with you all after this meeting. The questions that I hope I can answer for you is what to do if your athlete is exposed or in close contact, what to do if they have been vaccinated, what to do if they test negative, and what they do if they test positive. So at the moment, if an athlete is exposed, if an athlete is exposed and has not been vaccinated and has not had COVID within the past 90 days, then they are good to go. Nothing has to change. They might be sent home from school, but if they've been vaccinated or had it within 90 days, I think nothing applies to them. They're not affected athletics or school-wise. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's, I think, the latest that I've heard. If they are exposed and they have not been vaccinated and not had COVID, then they're out of school for 3 days. On the third day after they've been exposed, they are to get tested and then send documentation of the test to GMC. So the school will notify me if any athlete has been exposed, and then they are not allowed to come to practice until they are removed from that list, which is updated very regularly throughout the day. All right, so if your student is exposed, they will get notified, you will get notified. And then if they have not been vaccinated, then they are required to get a test on the third day of after exposure. And if it's negative, they can come back to athletics, they can come back to practice, they can come back to school. However, if it comes back positive, they are out for 7 more days, so 10 days total. And then on the 10th day, they can go to the doctor. When you go to the doctor on the 10th day of symptoms, they need to get a release form signed for GMC. And that release form, I believe it's this. They can go back to school after they visit the doctor, but they cannot return to sports until 3 days after the doctor visit, which would be the 13th day. And that's only if they haven't shown any symptoms. If they do show symptoms during the 10 days of being positive, they return to the doctor on the 10th day, they get a release form signed, and they have to wait another 7 days before returning to practice. So at best, they test positive and they are out of the pool for 13 days. At worst, they test positive and are out of the pool for 17 days. This means that they cannot come to practice and they cannot come to swim meets. I think that's everything there. We are doing our best to make sure athletes are not in close contact, face to face, within 3 feet for more than 15 minutes. Fortunately, it's really, really easy to do when we're at swim practice because they can spread out if we're doing dry land. And when they're in the pool, I mean, they better not be standing around for 15 minutes or else I'm not doing something right. And so we're very fortunate there that they don't have to be standing still. They're always moving, putting their head down. And so, again, I will send a kind of a summary of all of this after, but does that bring any questions or any clarity about COVID stuff for the time being?
I do want to have a clarification, if you don't mind, Brian,
Yeah.
where you said on the first one with COVID, if they're exposed, they do not have a vaccination, they're good to go? Or are you saying if they had COVID and were vaccinated, they're good to go? I missed that part right there as far as the vaccination goes.
Mm-hmm. So basically, if they're vaccinated, they're not required to miss school or miss practice at all.
Okay, I gotcha.
Even if they are exposed.
But if they're exposed and they don't have the vaccination,
then it's 3 days, and then they
okay,
get tested on the 3rd day. And if they're
gotcha.
negative, they're good to come back
Good to go.
to everything.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other COVID questions? I might be able to answer it. Okay. If that ever does come up and affect you and your family, if you'll just let me know. With the meet season starting on Saturday, there's always going to be a meet coming up. And so we'll have to shift around entries. It won't be a big deal, but the sooner I can know, the easier I can pivot. And so I know it comes up really suddenly, but the more notice you can provide us, the better. Okay, so speaking of which, I want to talk some about swim meets. And so if you're new to swim team, we have 8 swim meets in the regular season. The postseason, there is a state championship, and so that is the 9th swim meet. Swimmers are required to swim 2 swim meets before regionals in order to qualify for state. And so in the 7 meets leading up to regionals, all of them are local except for one. That is the Upstate Invitational on September 11th. That one is unique because the whole team will not go to that one. That meet on September 11th, the Upstate Invite, will be in Rock Hill, and it will be exclusive to the swimmers on our team who swim faster than what I am calling the blaze. It's a blazer time cut. And so basically what it is a time standard to give some of our athletes who are swimming best times and fastest times the chance to go to an away meet, swim in a fast pool, and get a chance to swim a faster time than they normally would during the regular season. And so that applies to the Upstate Invitational. I've told all the swimmers about that. They're aware of it. For those who aren't close to any state cuts for the season, this blazer cut is also a really good goal to try and reach, to try and strive for, so that they could go to that Upstate Invite in Rock Hill. And so I wanted you to know about that. Otherwise, at the swim meets, they could range from 2 hours to 6 hours to maybe 6 and some change. It depends on how many teams are there and how efficiently it's being run. So this Saturday will be one of the longest swim meets that we have. This is the Splashdown Invitational. It is the first meet that everybody has during the season. It is going to be a ton of fun. It is going to be very big. Something that's different about high school swim than than summer league season is that swimmers, there's no clerk of course, which is just a volunteer that calls swimmers to the blocks. Swimmers are responsible for knowing their event, their heat, and their lane, and just showing up when it's their time. And so they've got to be attuned. The coaches will not be calling them to their seats, to their events. They are responsible to just show up and be on the block when it's their time. And so we'll help them. For those who are new and haven't experienced that before, we'll help them think about that Saturday. And there's a lot of upperclassmen on the team who can be helpful in that area too. Otherwise, I need everyone to know that team suit and a team cap are requirements to swim. I did get special permission for us for just this Saturday only, that if you have not had the chance to get a cap or a suit yet, the swimmer may wear a solid black suit instead. And so that is new information to you all. If you have not had the chance to get a team suit yet, you will need that by next Wednesday. You can get those on Amazon or at Alpine Ski. So I will send those links to you and the phone number for Alpine Ski if you haven't seen it already after this. But suits, they can be solid black if you haven't gotten the team suit yet. And then caps, we are hoping that they will come in by Friday. If they don't, we also got permission to just wear solid white swim caps in the meantime. I know there's a few upperclassmen too who have extra caps, and so there's no need to stress there. We'll make it work. But if your swimmer doesn't have a team cap or a solid white cap, I recommend getting one of those before Saturday, just so that there's no extra stress added to that day. I think they will be gracious with us if something crazy happens on Saturday, just because we're not the only team experiencing kind of like delayed shipping, delayed stock, and all that. And so suits and cap, that's a requirement. The meet schedule, I have
Brian.
Yes.
Yeah, swimoutlet.com also has the suits. I got Sarah's there. They're, what was it? Just over $60
Okay.
delivered, right, with tax in and everything. So
Yeah. Okay.
And we also have a size 26 ladies, if someone's looking for that.
Okay, good to know. I'll make a note of that.
No worries.
Yeah, swimoutlet.com and Amazon. Those are my go-to for any kind of swim equipment in general. Amazon is not, they used to not compete with Swim Outlet. Swim Outlet used to be the cheapest across the board. That has since changed some. And so I always just check both. If I need new goggles, need a cap, need a suit, those are both good. So thanks, Scott. That's not your suit though. You're saying that's Sarah's. Yeah, cool. All right.
Yes, it's not my suit.
Okay.
I said it was a women's 26.
Women's 26. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think I'd fit into it.
Yeah. So our meet schedule is updated with warm-up times and start times and the locations of all of them. They are all in TeamSnap, but there is also a printout that you can get. It looks like this. And so I'll, again, send that with everything else after this wraps up. For this Saturday, warm-ups will be, swimmers need to be at the pool by 8:45. Warm-ups will start at 9. The meet will start at 10:30. There's a chance that warm-up time becomes a little bit later, and I'll let you know about that, but I won't know that until Friday. And so in the meantime, 8:45, it's always a good rule of thumb to be dropping your swimmer off at least 15 minutes before a swim meet, before warm-up start, just so that they can get in, feel comfortable, not feel rushed. It's normally very chaotic during warm-up times. And so the more time we can give, the better. This Saturday, swimmers do not need to bring a chair. We will have bleachers, but typically you'll need to bring a chair. You'll need to bring water. Swimmers will want to bring snacks this weekend. They'll want to eat a good breakfast, just a normal breakfast, whatever they normally eat. They need to have food in them early. They need to bring snacks that are light but carb heavy. They do not need a ton of protein on meet day. It doesn't really do all that much for them, except maybe just stick with them and help their hunger. But complex carbs, fruit. I always like peanut butter cracker, something that'll stick with me, but then also kind of give me what I need. Some kids like to bring honey and eat some honey before they swim. It's really just up to you, whatever you like. I would always encourage people to not overthink it. Your body is used to a certain type of fuel, and so changing that on race day can just often make it a lot more difficult. Um, two other things about swim meets. Volunteers, I mentioned this a bit earlier. If you go into TeamSnap on your phone and hit schedule and then hit a swim meet event, you can scroll down to where it says my assignments. When you hit my assignments, it'll show you the volunteers that we need to fill the meet. Those are typically just going to be timers. There's a few meets where we will provide officials. And so those of you who that applies to, I have your contact information, and I know we were talking earlier, we'll work through all of that to get that done. But if you've never timed, feel free to still sign up. It's very easy, very straightforward. Don't feel the pressure to do it if you have never. It is as simple as clicking a button twice and then switching it out and doing it again. Otherwise, I want you all to know that there is likely that we are going to go eat after every swim meet. We have 4 team captains. That is Kate Fricky, TJ Rickard, Lexi Weaver, and Ben Panosian. One of their roles is to choose somewhere to go eat as a team afterwards and communicate that through TeamSnap. And so you can look out for that each meet. Otherwise, there is a sign up genius that Amy Panosian and Wendy Rickard have put together for us. That is for parents to sign up to provide snacks for the team. For weekend meets, that'll be bringing them to the meet. And then for weekday meets, so for example, next Wednesday, the 25th, we have a meet against St. Joe's at the Spalding Farm Neighborhood Pool. For that sign up, we would like parents to either drop it off at school for them to have before we leave, for them to have at school right after they get out, or to bring to the meet for them to have. Oftentimes they just forget to bring stuff. It's important to stay fueled up and everything. And so again, I will share that link to the sign up genius with you. That'll be noted on this recap. Transportation. We are not currently planning on taking buses out of concern for swimmers' health and the team's health related to COVID-19. That is a very recent update. Last week, we were planning on taking a bus to meets. I will keep you updated if anything changes, but in the meantime, we're trying to just do our best to keep the whole team at practice as best as possible and not have any other concerns as far as exposure or anything else. The last meet that I want to tell you about, and then I'll pause if you got any questions, is the state championship. And so we have 8 swim meets before the state championship. There are time standards, state time standards that swimmers are working towards. At any of those 8 meets, if they swim faster than an automatic time cut, so let's say the cut is 25 seconds. If I swim 24.99 seconds, then I have secured a spot to swim that event at state, and I'm guaranteed to go. The second cut, though, is called a consideration cut. So let's say that's 27 seconds. And so let's say I swim a 50 freestyle in 26 seconds. I have made the consideration cut, but I have not yet made the automatic cut. I have a chance to go to state, but it is not guaranteed. It all depends on how does everybody else stack up. This isn't necessarily super important detail, but if you're curious, once there's a certain number of spots for each event at the state meet. Once those are filled up with the automatic times, then they look at who has made the consideration cuts, and the remaining spots that they have, they pull that number from the top of the consideration list. And so it just depends on the season. It depends on the competition. And so the state meet will be in Charleston this year. Warm-ups will be at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the meet will start at 10:30. At the moment, we are unsure if spectators will be allowed. Several weeks ago, it was looking like they would be. And so I hope that is the case. We are pushing to have a hotel available for swimmers that Friday night before. And so I'm working hard to secure that for us. I think that's really important so that we don't have to wake up at the crack of dawn, drive down. I believe, I don't know, if someone could correct me from last year, was that provided by the school last year or was that paid per athlete to stay in a hotel the night before?
We paid it.
It was paid by.
It was paid by the athlete.
Paid by the athlete. Okay. There is a chance that that is not the case this year. It depends on the size of the team. There also could be a version of a discount. I'll mention some of that later on, but that is typically a really fun event. And so state will be in Charleston. It'll be 9:30 on Saturday morning. The guys and the girls will swim at the same time, which is really good. And then spectators are to be determined whether they're allowed or not. So there's a lot of information about swim meets. Does anyone have any immediate questions or concerns or thoughts? Anything at all? Okay. I am almost done. I know I've been talking a lot. I appreciate y'all hanging in there. As far as some of the expectations that I have for our team and some things that Coach Catherine and I have developed, one of the big ones that we've been pushing since day one is being at practice and communicating when you're not going to be. And so the standard for your student is to over communicate with us. It's very easy for a high schooler to just disregard what other people are doing, what they're doing as things come up. We're not crazy control freak coaches just wanting to know where everyone is all the time. Mostly, we just want to hold everyone to the same standard, and that's a high standard that you have decided to be a part of this team. And so we expect you to be a part of it 100% of the time. But we also know staying after school is very important when it's needed. Work is a thing sometimes. And then we've even got athletes who are doing 2 sports. And so the ask is just that they would communicate to us through TeamSnap or GroupMe. And they've done a really good job of this so far. When you will be late, when you will be early, or sorry, when you will leave early, or when you'll miss practice at all, because we're going to do our best. We keep track of who's here every day. We're going to do our best to keep you guys in the loop. If your swimmer isn't at practice for some reason, we haven't heard otherwise, just to be above reproach in that way and keep tabs on everybody. And so swimmers are expected at every practice Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday morning, that is optional for those who have made it to all 5 practices. But if they've missed one of the 5 practices during the week for any reason, we do expect them to be at practice at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. Any thoughts, questions there about attendance? Goals is something that we began developing with everybody last week. I am still playing catch up with goals. That's one of the last things I'm working towards catching up with since I've been back from out of town. We kicked it off. We got it started. It's something that I plan to personally track with them, for them, in creating time for weekly on Friday, just to keep tabs with them, help them hopefully stay motivated and just aware of what's going on and how they're doing, and that would guide how they enter themselves in meets and how they would train, but then also give us just opportunities to pull them into discipline and passion and get them excited about what they're doing. And so I want you to know that we're holding them to goals. I want them to share those with you once we kind of whittle it down to what it needs to be. And so that's about goals. Scratching is something that I want to talk about. If you're unfamiliar with swimming, if you scratch, it means that you drop out of a race that you have been entered in. And so the expectation for all swimmers is that they swim every single event that they're entered in. It costs us money per head that we enter in a meet. And it is also something that we just don't want to ever have to deal with if we don't, if we have an option. And so we expect swimmers to swim everything they're entered in, even if they don't love it, or even if they're not feeling it. If they are feeling poorly, or if something does come up, again, the standard is to just communicate with us. Have them come talk to us. There's a chance that we do let them off the hook if we feel like it's a legit reason, but oftentimes if it's just nerves or if it's just freaking out about something that they are very well prepared to do and they just don't realize it, we're going to push them to swim the race, and then touch base with us afterwards. However, if they do choose to scratch from the meet, what we require is just that you cover the meet fee, the entry fee for them, which is always going to be less than $10, right? So we don't want anyone to scratch. If it comes down to it and they just can't go on without dropping an event or whatever, we will work with them there. But then we do ask that they would just pay GMC what they paid to enter them in the meet. The last thing I'll say about expectations is for dual sport and club swim athletes. What we told them all on Friday is that we want you to prioritize what you're most passionate about. We want you to prioritize your primary sport, music, whatever it is. We want you to be all in with that. However, we also expect you to be at all swim meets and encourage them to be at all social team building events. Again, because we want to hold everyone to this standard that we are a team and we are doing all this together and we're being held to the same standard. And so we want them to be a part of as much of the team as possible. For those who start club swim in about 2 weeks, we also expect them to be at all high school swim meets and encourage them also to participate in all team social events. And then we expect you as the parents to be the ones to communicate with their club coaches about swim meets and stuff. Catherine and I will not be doing any of that. We just ask that you guys would be the go-between for the high school and the club season to make sure that they match up. I've got 2 money things to talk about, and then I am going to zip it. Does anyone have any questions in the meantime? All right. I am passing along a message from administration. Athletic fees are due, they said last Friday. And so I miscommunicated. I said it was this Friday. They're okay with that. But there's a $125 athletic fee that everyone, I believe, is aware of to be paid to GMC Athletics. So it's $125 to GMC Athletics. There is a list of folks who I received yesterday who just haven't paid. I'll reach out to you if that's you by Friday. So if you have not yet paid the $125 for the whole year athletics, I would ask on behalf of the athletic department that you would pay that. There is an online link. Thank you, Lori. There is a link through SecureGive. I will attach that as well to this meeting recap. That is a much easier option for you rather than writing a check. And so that's new, I believe, if that hasn't been the case in the past. And so either by check to GMC Athletics to Coach Elliott, that can go to Coach Elliott, or through SecureGive online. The other thing related to money is sweatshirts and t-shirts. If you bought those for anyone other than your swimmer, those are coming in soon. We are hoping to get those early next week. We will pay for the shirts for swimmers, but if a sibling, if a parent or anyone else bought a shirt, or if anyone in general bought a sweatshirt, that is the responsibility of the family to pay. You have 2 options to pay. You can either Venmo Maria Weaver. I'll include her tag on that. You can Venmo Maria Weaver or write a check to GMC Athletics. The sooner we can check that off, the sooner we can get you what you need. Hoodies are $23.50. Extra t-shirts, those are $10. Otherwise, shirts will be here. We're hoping early next week, and then looking for caps maybe by Friday, but if not Friday, then Monday. The last money thing is something exciting. For whatever reason, swim team has traditionally been behind in other sports when it comes to budget and fundraising and everything else there. And so one of the things that's become available to us new this season is a fundraising account that Coach Catherine and I have access to share, to spend as we please to make the team experience better. And so we feel like there is a big opportunity to buy some equipment, especially fins, which are just a fancy word for swimming flippers. They're a bit smaller. For a lot of our new athletes, they're a very helpful tool to develop power in our legs and our hips that aren't normally used, but they can also be a great tool for correcting technique. And so there is a few things that we've been putting down on our wish list that we are going to make available to you to contribute to if you care to family members, and then even to companies. If your company is looking to make any donation, those can be directly given to the swim team fundraising account that Coach Catherine and I have the liberty to use however we please. One of the ways that we're going to start contributing to this account is through volunteering at the Flame coffee shop. So with GMC's new gym, there's also a coffee shop open for like 30 minutes before school. Sports teams are given the opportunity to run that as volunteers, and we'll receive 75% of the profits. And so there are 3 weeks that I signed us up for. And so that is not on you, that is on me and our swimmers. I think it'll be a really fun thing for us to do together. Basically, we'll get there around 7:20, 7:25. We'll open up the shop, brew some coffee, and then we will just be there and collect money and play music until about 8 o'clock. And then we'll receive whatever we raise, 75% of straight to the account. And so I'm excited for that opportunity. Those are in Team Snap. There's the days Catherine and I will work on coordinating all of that information with swimmers, but want you to know about that just so that you know what's coming up. I will share, well, actually, it's not even a link. It's just if you care to make a donation to that fundraising account, all you have to do is make a check to GMC Athletics and include swim team donation or swim team anything in the subject line, and we'll be all squared away. Okay, there's a lot of details. I have nothing else for you, but I am happy to hang around for as long as I need to answer questions, help you feel confident about anything, touch base about anything going on with your swimmer or your family in particular. And so I've got nothing more. The floor is yours for whoever would like it. If not, though, look for an email from me a little bit later tonight to share all this information with you. And thanks for getting on. I'm really excited for our season and pumped for Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
We done? Leave. Oh, are we done? I don't know, are we done?
Carpool group me idea. A great idea. Rochelle, if there are some parents who missed that message, I can send that out in my recap too. I'm sure lots of people would benefit from that.
Here.
Katie, that is Maria's Venmo, Maria-Weaver-8. Rochelle, the blazer towels have been provided and made available in the past. I don't know that we have any just on hand, but that is something I would be more than happy to check into for the team as far as interest goes. I'd have to see how that's gone in the past as far as how many people need to be interested for us to put in an order. But with so many new students, I think it'd be very, very likely that that's the thing. So I'll check on that and keep you updated. Is that something that you all would be interested in if we made it work? Okay, great. My mom said she's looking into towels, what that would look like. So we'll pass you all that information as we get it. Thanks, guys. Anything else? I see that message, Richard. We'll work on the towels and send that out as soon as we have something to share. But yeah, they're awesome. I'd love to make that work. So we'll get to that and then keep you guys in the loop.